In an earlier video, we explained that we could be facing the largest humanitarian crisis we have seen in human history, a sexual holocaust. The sexual holocaust is a multi-dimensional global crisis stemming from unrestrained sexual behaviors that have resulted in profound harm to humanity. We explained that unrestrained sexuality has affected all aspects of our humanity: the physical, emotional, social, and spiritual. In this video, we're going to explore the physical harm caused by anything goes sexuality. Anything goes sexuality leads to the spread of sexually transmitted diseases. According to the most recent report conducted by the World Health Organization, there are over 1.2 billion people globally who are infected with a sexually transmitted disease. That's between 1/6 and 1/7 of the global population. It's hard to understand the significance of 1.2 billion people infected with an STD. To give us a frame of reference, we can compare this to the inhabitants of North and South America. Together, these two continents are populated by just over 1 billion people. In spite of education and modern medicine, STDs are devastating humanity. Of the top 8 STDs, only half are curable. Anything goes sexuality leads to violence and abuse. Today, 35% of women globally have experienced physical or sexual violence. That is roughly 1.2 billion women. Many women are both abused and have an STD, so we cannot simply add the numbers to find the total affected. However, the big picture is obvious. A large fraction of the human race has been affected by unrestrained sexuality. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before they turn 18 years old. That's roughly 20% of all children. Each generation, children continue to be abused, and as those children grow up to be adults, we can expect to see that well over 1 billion future adults will have been abused as a child. Anything goes sexuality leads to slavery and bondage. There are 24.9 million people trafficked worldwide, and more than half of these people are sexually exploited. At least 1 in 5 men in America have solicited a prostitute. There are roughly 40 to 42 million prostitutes worldwide. On average, girls first become prostitutes between the ages of 12 and 14 years old. On average, boys first become prostitutes between the ages of 11 and 13 years old. Every year, traffickers exploit 1 million children in the commercial sex trade. Slavery and bondage are not just found in the remote parts of the world. The problem is global. You might be living right next door to someone who is in slavery or bondage. Anything goes sexuality leads to addiction. Internet pornography is a huge industry. It makes up 30% of internet traffic, making pornography larger than movie sites. When older generations think about pornography, they think about Playboy magazines and looking at women naked. However, internet pornography is much more explicit. It displays incest, abuse, bondage, child molestation, and every other form of deviant behavior. Many people think that pornography is just entertainment and causes no physical harm. This is not true. Pornography creates hardcore addiction and damages the brain in the same way that illegal drugs can damage your brain. It increases violence and increases impotency. Many young, healthy men are seeing therapists today for impotency. Most pornography users get to the point where they don't enjoy sexual intercourse. In the United States, only 10% of men over 25 do not seek out pornography. 90% do. If this is any reflection of a global viewing trend, then the vast majority of the male population views pornography, and the majority may be addicted without even knowing it. Though women use pornography less than men, 17% of women in the United States describe themselves as addicted to pornography. Women are also increasingly using pornography. Christians and other religious individuals are also viewing pornography. 60% of Christian men and 40% of Christian women say that they struggle with pornography. Adult men and women are not the most frequent users of pornography. Typically, the younger a person is, the more they use pornography. The largest consumer of internet pornography is 12 to 17-year-olds. When you think about the effects of pornography on a child's developing brain, this becomes a severe problem. The average age of first viewing pornography is 11 years old. This indicates that about half of the people who have ever viewed pornography started when they were less than 11 years old. The under 10 age group now accounts for 1 in 10 of the visitors to pornography sites. Because many young children are seeing pornography, parents need to be fully engaged. There is no doubt that conversations with children about sexuality can be uncomfortable, but they are necessary. The sooner we start these conversations, the more natural it will be to have them. We may think that sexuality is our own personal business, but if anything goes sexuality can cause this much harm, should we really be silent? Studies show that for 87% of surveyed individuals, no one is helping them avoid pornography. Anything goes sexuality leads to ubiquitous abortions. Abortion is the last of the physical harms we'll discuss, and we understand it is one of the most controversial topics that we need to address. The general perception is that abortions are rare, reflect empowerment for women, and represent special cases. We will address these 3 issues. Many people believe abortions are rare. However, in the past generation, about 40 years, 1.5 billion developing humans have been intentionally killed worldwide. This number is substantially more than all the people now alive in North and South America. This number is almost 1/5 of our current global population. We can also show this another way. This chart shows the top 10 leading causes of death per year compared to the number of abortions performed every year. Every year, there are roughly 50 million abortions globally. Abortions claim more lives every year than the top 10 leading causes of death combined. These numbers help us understand the magnitude of the global abortion industry. However, the scope of abortion is expanding. Various countries are now insisting that full-term abortions and post-birth abortions should be legal. Many people believe abortions reflect empowerment for women. It was thought that the sexual revolution would empower women to have more control over their own lives. However, the mentality today is not empowering women, it is enslaving them. Most women who have an abortion admit they do not want to abort their babies. They are often pressured to get an abortion from peers, boyfriends, family members, and abortion clinics. Pressuring a woman to get an abortion is not empowering her, nor is it supporting her desire to keep and raise her child. Many women also get an abortion because of lack of financial support. If women were given more financial and family support, then they would be able to have their babies and still pursue education or careers. That's real empowerment. Many people believe abortions represent special cases. They think a primary cause for an abortion is because a woman has been subject to rape or incest. It is little known that women who have experienced rape or incest are not likely candidates for an abortion because of the physical trauma they've experienced. Furthermore, rape and incest combined only account for 1.5% of all abortion cases. Many people also think that most abortions are due to a risk in mother and fetal health. However, combined, mother health and fetal health issues only account for 7% of abortion cases. This means that the majority of abortions are performed for other reasons. One U.S. survey showed that 92% of the participants gave the following reasons for having an abortion. A child would interfere with education or career. They were not mature enough to raise a child. They didn't want to be a single mother. They were done having children. They couldn't afford a baby, or they were not ready for a child. This is very telling information. The vast majority of abortions are performed out of convenience and not for health issues. When we realize the ubiquitous nature of the diseases, abuse, bondage, addiction, and death caused by unrestrained sexuality, it starts to become clear that we are experiencing a global Holocaust. After considering the physical effects of unrestrained sexuality, it becomes evident we must stand up and do something. Every individual can be a catalyst for change. We can work together to protect each other and to protect the weak and innocent. We can hold institutions accountable. Together, we can be the change.